So, football. Yes, this football, not that football. So what is football? Football is a game. No, not that game, but this game. And it's old. How old? Pretty old. Not like dinosaur old, but more like ancient civilization old. People were kicking balls around for fun even before Netflix, smartphones, and sliced bread. So, back to ancient China, about a couple of thousand years ago. They played a game called Cuju, which literally means kickball. Wait, kickball? Why didn't they just name it that? Because you kick the ball, you don't foot the ball, but then again you play football with your foot and a ball, so maybe football is still a better name. But yes, Cuju, and get this, if you lost, you were sacrificed to the gods. Why would you even think of rules like that? So, picture this. You're as bad as the worst Sunday League player and your opponent is as good as Messi. Better pack your bags because he's going to send you back to your maker ASAP. You think modern football pressure is high? Try not wanting to become the gods' cosmic crunchwrap supreme. Fast forward to about 1300-ish years ago and things were getting wild in medieval England. No, not TikTok dance challenge wild, more like medieval mosh pit wild. Free-for-all games with unlimited players who were punting around an inflated pig's bladder from one end of town to the other. Wait, pig's bladder? Yes, pig's bladder. As a football? Yes, as a football. But then, out of nowhere, the medieval fun police show up. Who are they? The king, the queen, the whole royal entourage. They're not a fan of your pig bladder shenanigans. Too much chaos, too much noise, too much fun. So they ban football. Yep, they ban it. No more pig bladder, armor-clad footballs, or medieval Messi. Football is officially off the menu. They've got other things to worry about, like wars, plagues, and arranging marriages for political alliances. You know, the usual medieval stuff. So now we are in 1863. Imagine this, a bunch of English gents absolutely bored of cricket and the perennial drizzle sit around a pub table. One says, "I reckon we should invent a new game." Another slams his beer mug on the table and shouts, "Aye, a man's game!" So they rolled up their sleeves, got to work and started drafting rules to wrangle this wild primal game of kick the thing into the net. And just like that, hop, the Football Association was born. They were the masterminds who decided what was a foul and what was not. Spoiler alert, arguing with the ref about a call, still a foul. Handling the ball, only if you're a goalie or pulling a Maradona. Punching someone because they outmaneuvered you, definite foul, and probably a red card. Dive when no one's around? Sorry, that's a big no-no and might even earn you an Oscar. And so modern football as we know it is born in a smoky English tavern. And the game, the real football, not the medieval chaos, kicks off for the first time on a field in England. It starts small, just a few clubs, mostly teams from pubs, factories and local neighbourhoods. But just like a toddler on a sugar rush, football grows fast. Before you know it, there are clubs popping up all over the place. Under the umbrella of the Football Association, England saw the birth of the first ever club, Sheffield FC. But when one starts, others follow. Notts County and Stoke City sprung up. Even north of the border, Queen's Park in Scotland wanted a piece of the action. And overseeing all this newfound footy fever, the Football Association, or the FA as it's more commonly known. They're the ones who put their heads together back in 1863 to give birth to this beautiful game. And boy, are they in for a wild ride. No more god offerings for losing a match, no more chasing after a pig's bladder. Instead, they started using a pumped leather ball. Yeah, you heard it right. A piece of cowhide filled with air was their new toy. And with that, the game's all about outwitting your opponent, perfecting your kicks, and scoring sweet goals. Just goes to show football was finally leaving its awkward teenage phase and growing up. Okay, let's fast forward to 1870. We're in England, and they're asking big questions like, how many players should be in a team? Somebody raises a hand. 11! And it sticks. Someone else chimes in. We need someone to guard the goal. And just like that, the goalkeeper is born. Now you may wonder who's keeping this chaos in check. Well, turns out back in 1581, this guy, what's his name again? Ah yes, Richard Mulcaster. Thought it'd be neat to have a judge over the parties. Smart fellow, right? But it took a bit for that idea to catch on. Fast forward to the 1840s, games are getting a bit rough around the edges. A few bruises, a few arguments, and they think maybe Richard had a point. So in walks the referee. But hold on, it's not as clear-cut as it seems. Initially, each team gets an umpire. If the umpires can't agree, they refer to the referee. It's like a game of who's the boss. Finally, in 1891, after a few years of musical chairs, the referee takes the lead role and umpires become linesmen. Now we've got a system that looks a bit more like what we're used to today. Fancy that! Okay, moving on to 1874. There's this guy, Sam Weller Widdowson, who plays cricket and football. Tough guy. One day, he's like, man, I'm tired of my shins getting knocked around. So he borrows a trick from cricket, snaps on some shin guards, and boom, he's got built-in leg armor. Smart, huh? Move on a bit to 1886-ish, and some genius, probably tired of Toe Stub Tuesdays, says, why don't we make special boots for this? Boom, first ever football boots. Heavy, clunky, but hey, no more bruised toes. So who's complaining? Boots, check. Now what about jerseys? They were like, you're blue, we're red, easy. Not quite the designer jerseys of today, but it got the job done. Fast forward to the 19th century, football clubs are popping up everywhere like daisies after a spring rain. But not the gold-plated megacorporations we see today, oh no. These were scruffy gangs of pals, hard hat workers, and your friendly neighborhood barfly, just eager to boot the ball around. Clubs like Sheffield FC and Notts County, the early birds of the scene, are still kicking. Not quite Lionel Messi level, but hey, points for effort. Others like Aston Villa, Arsenal, and Everton jumped on the wagon. Roll up to 1888. There's a proper crowd now, enough to kick off the English Football League. But look at their fields. More like local parks, city squares, basically anywhere spacious. Nothing fancy, but wait up. Someone got a brainwave. Let's get a dedicated space, a beautiful green canvas just for us. And just like that, the grassy football grounds were born. Welcome white lines. Midfield lines, penalty area lines, goal lines. The field is basically a giant notebook at this point. But it helped players know their position and when to take that killer shot. And that's how you go from gods munching on the losing team to perfectly lined football fields. The game's sure grown up, hasn't it? Come 1890s, clubs start thinking, maybe we should make this a little more us. Enter custom jerseys, team colors, badges, and all. From work boots and tablecloth jerseys to modern football gear. Yeah, we've come a long way, baby. Wait, there's more.
Wait a minute.
Do you know who had it tough? Goalkeepers, balls flying at them left and right, and they're supposed to catch them barehanded? Not for long. Someone, somewhere decided enough was enough. Out come the gloves, and suddenly being a goalie doesn't seem so bad. After all, who doesn't like a good pair of gloves? Over time, this foot-kicking frenzy caught on like a new dance craze, but with more mud. Suddenly, nations were getting in on the act. England started the trend, then Scotland hopped in, followed by Argentina, Germany, and even the Netherlands, all creating their own local competitions. It was contagious, spreading faster than a cute cat video on the internet. 1902. Something new and wild is happening. Wait, what's that? It's a bird. No, it's a plane. No, it's a rule. A big one. It's called offside. Before this, football was like the Wild West with bandana-wearing strikers hanging around the saloon. Goal! Just waiting for that golden long ball opportunity. No more, my friends. Now they've got to keep pace with the last defender. The casual goal hangers are sweating now. They've got to work for their goals like proper adults. Wow, what a concept. Oh, you think it's complicated now? Wait until we get to 1925. Just as everyone was busy kicking balls around, a chap named Jules Rimet in France had an idea. His idea was kind of like, hey, all these nations are playing football. What if we bring them together for a giant football jamboree? And boom, like a perfectly timed overhead kick, the World Cup is born. Football's global domination is complete. Football is everywhere, from Brazil's samba dancing streets to Italy's sun-kissed parks. It's bigger than ever, reaching heights even the ancient Chinese could only dream of. It's been a whirlwind of highs, lows, and legendary games since. It's like a seasonal TV drama with more sweating and fewer dragons. But Football Story is not just about the game, but also about its rules. It's like the game's DNA, and over time, it's evolved. And like evolution, some changes totally changed the game. In 1925, they rewrote the offside rule. Now, instead of 3 opponents between the attacker and the goal line, you just needed 2. More goals, more fun, right? 1930, and it's time for the first ever World Cup. And where's the party at? Uruguay. Why? Because they're all about that go big or go home lifestyle. They just won the Olympic gold medals in football in 1924 and 1928. So when their centenary rolled around in 1930, they thought, why not throw a World Cup too? Because who doesn't love a triple celebration, right? 13 teams walked onto the global stage, all ready for a kickabout. 7 from the New World, 4 from the Old World, and 2 who hitched a ride from North America. Not too shabby for a first go, eh? Teams from all over the globe travelled by ship, train, or donkey just to be a part of this grand football fiesta. They played with grit, with passion, with everything they had. It was raw, it was chaotic, it was football. Goals? Yeah, there were goals. Dreams shattered. Legends? They popped up like daisies. Overnight, footballers were celebrities. Real ones, not the reality TV kind. And when the dust settled, Uruguay stood tall, trophy in hand, grins wider than the goalpost. And a celebration that looked like Christmas, New Year's and every birthday at once. And just like that, the World Cup fever kicked off. But then, World War II comes along, and it's full stop to football. Priorities, mate, priorities. But once the dust settles, football's back on, and boy, has it got some stories to tell. Rewind a bit, it's 1893 and you're a Scotsman named Willie Groves. Congratulations, you're the first player ever to transfer money, a grand total of £100. He's moving from West Bromwich Albion to Aston Villa. I know, mind-boggling, right? It's like being the hottest thing since sliced bread, only sliced bread hasn't been invented yet. Fast forward a bit and we're back in the 1930s, and there's new thought bubbling in the football world. Hey, It's not fair we ask these lads to play for free. Professional football is born. Believe it or not, folks started getting a paycheck for just kicking a ball around. Fancy that, huh? Suddenly, everyone's scouting for talent and transfers are flying around like hotcakes. Money's flowing and football's on a roll. Who would have thought? And the changes didn't stop there. 1932-ish. A bit dusty and old-fashioned, but hey, it's got charm. Do you know what else it's got? New rules. No more passing the ball back to the goalkeeper like you're handing off a hot potato. No more charging like a disgruntled rhino. The game's getting a glow up. So it's the swinging 60s and someone has a light bulb moment. Wait a second, people might want to watch this on their televisions. And thus, football on TV is born. Suddenly you didn't have to leave your living room to witness the magic of the beautiful game. Skip ahead to 1991. Video games have been around for a while now, but then EA Sports drops FIFA. Now everyone can bend it like Beckham, right from their living room. No sweat, no injuries, just football. Then in 1965 they introduced player substitutions. At first, you could only replace players who were injured, but from 1995 teams were allowed to make up to 3 substitutions, injured or not. So fast forward to the millennium's turn, when football clubs began morphing into walking, talking billboards. Whoosh! Sponsor logos are appearing everywhere. I mean everywhere, right under the players' armpits. Yeah, that's happening. And oh, look at these giant impressive stadiums popping up. Take Maracanã, Brazil's crown jewel, made for the 1950 World Cup. This beast housed around 200,000 rambunctious fans, screaming at the top of their lungs whenever a goal was netted. Imagine that roar, will ya? Like the Maracanã, Wembley, Camp Nou, San Siro, these are not just buildings, they're the beating heart of football. History-making sites where legends are born. Talking about legends born in these stadiums, football's gifted us moments we'll never forget. Maradona's hand of God goal, Beckham's halfway line goal, Messi's solo goal against Getafe, and Ronaldo's bicycle kick against Juventus. Priceless memories. Now, the 90s and 2000s are here, and there's an explosion of football competitions. Champions League, Europa League, and a bunch of other leagues and cups. It's like a never-ending party where everyone gets an invite. Football's constantly changing. Arsenal's Invincibles are undefeated, and Barcelona's tiki-taka style stuns everyone. Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi begin their rivalry, pushing the game's boundaries. But wait, where's all this dough coming from? Clubs are naturally selling tickets, but they've also got these huge TV deals, are flogging merchandise left and right, and basically they'll do just about anything to make a buck. What's your favourite football shirt? Not just for die-hard fans anymore, buddy, it's now a fashion item. And now flash forward to today, where the amount of money swirling around in football is enough to make your brain spin. And I don't mean just money. I'm talking ridiculous, seriously considering a bank heist money. We've got Galacticos, oil-soaked clubs, Russian billionaires, and the Chinese Super League, all tossing cash around as if they're making it rain at a confetti parade. Football teams are dishing out hundreds of millions as if it's loose change. Craving to sign that superstar player? Of course you are. Just sign over £100 million. And poof, done deal. Okay folks, time to fast forward. Say hello to 4K resolution, 5G, Elon Musk's Mars colony, and what's that? A digital referee? Welcome to the modern football world, people. Tech ain't just for fancy gadgets and NASA anymore. Football's got a brand new playmate. Technology. Goal line doubts? Forget about them. We got goal line tech now. Hawkeye's watching the game like a literal hawk. And here's the big one. VAR. Video Assistant Referee. This football sci-fi episode started in 2018. Since then, it stirred up more debates than a presidential election. Referees aren't just blowing whistles, they're analyzing screens. Welcome to the Matrix. I mean football. And yet, with all these changes, some things remain. Messi still making defenders look like they're wearing 2 left boots. Some truths are undeniable. Talent is talent, no VAR needed to confirm. But amidst all this whirlwind, the magic of the game lives on. Goals flying in, dreams crashing down, legends rising from the ashes. All the while, the world keeps on kicking that beloved round leather ball. And if you ever find yourself in a time-traveling odyssey, remember, avoid ancient China unless you're really good at football, don't play against a medieval Messi, and if you're a striker, keep an eye on that pesky last defender. Oh, and don't forget to... But remember, whether you're a die-hard fan or just someone who likes to see millionaires chase a ball, football's got something for everyone. Just don't forget the most important rule. Don't use your hands. Unless you're the goalie. Or Maradona. That's football.